What is up? It's your boy Brad Thomas, and we are live for the prop shop. As you may or may not know, I am not prop holiday. No, I am filling in for my guy talking about the college football national championship. I'm a college football lover through and through. So I want to first thank everyone who is watching this video, everyone who's going to be asking questions, dropping in the chat for allowing me to get up on this platform and talk about the thing I love the most. We're going to Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Ohio State, Notre Dame. The Buckeyes are an 8.5-point favorite, total set at 54 and a half. Before we kind of get into the breakdown, 55 and a half, 45 and a half, excuse me. Before we get into the breakdown, I just want to throw some like fun facts out there, right? Like before we get into my bets, I'm going to give you my winner at the end. So that's going to force you guys to kind of stay until the end. But I have a bunch of bets that I want to go over. But fun facts, this is a rematch of 2023, played week 4. Ohio State won 17-14. It was one of the craziest games I've actually been in. Game winner, last drive of the game. It was epic. I was actually standing on the sidelines, but that game was way different. Both teams have evolved so much. Notre Dame, a tremendous defensive team in that game, but I think they're even better now. Why? Because they can lock you up on the outsides and they have a strong defensive line. But offensively is really where they flourished, right? There's a team that knows their identity, a team that knows they can effectively run the ball with two really skilled backs, and bring in a quarterback like Riley Leonard from Duke to be under center to just kind of not even, I don't even like using the words game manage, but to do what he does best. That's move the chains with his legs, not create turnovers, and be that leader for the team. I'm excited for this one just as much as I was that one. Quick housekeeping on against the spread because everyone loves that. Notre Dame 12-2-1 against the spread. The Fighting Irish actually have covered every single game against the spread since losing unranked to Northern Illinois, and the Buckeyes 9-6 against the spread. I will say the difference between the two is just the size of the lines. Notre Dame's lines didn't really start getting massive until late in the season there, but they still covered them, right? First player prop. I'm really excited for this one. I went with Jadarian Price over 22 and a half rushing yards. So Notre Dame, it's kind of funny. Let's back this up and see what Notre Dame wants to do. We look at a metric called rush rate over expected, and this Notre Dame team, they don't actually run the ball that much, at least not through the season, because they had a ton of success through the air. But as the playoffs started to get underway, they ran the ball at an extremely, extremely high rate. Against Indiana, you could say that was weather. You could say that was them having a positive game script, but they still ran the ball a ton. Next game they're playing is Georgia. Georgia, a great run defense, didn't stop them. They said, we're still going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball a ton. And then even against a team that probably is the best run defense they played up to this point in Penn State, they ran the ball again. These are 35, 40 times. But what's funny is even though Riley Leonard's getting a bulk of these runs on design QB runs and sacks count, so it kind of inflates the number a little bit, Jeremiah Love is the number one back, but he dealt with some aggravating injuries throughout the season, right? At the end of the season and then the playoffs, he ended up having to don a knee brace. He says he's 100%. That's fine. But I don't think you can turn away from Jadarian Price when your team needs him, right? Jadarian Price, let's just go. We're going to go back from around the Army game, which is about November 16th-ish when they played Army. They actually played it the week before my birthday, so that was November 23rd. That's around when Jeremiah Love got banged up. Well, look at these carry splits. 10 carries against Army for 53 yards, 12 carries for 111 yards against USC, 11 carries, 10 carries, 7 carries. His line right now is set at 5.5. I think that's fine if you want to take the over on that. But I like his yards too, because why is it so important to know why we're taking yards? If you want to beat Ohio State, you have to be able to run the football. The difference in Ohio State in defending the pass, second in success rate, and first in success rate versus 14th against the run and third against the run in EPA. So you have to be able to run the ball, and I think they're going to find some success doing that. That's my first play, Jadarian Price, and I think that you could find that on Caesars still at the 22.5. Before we get into the next one, I just want to kind of invite you and read this quick ad read. Join Caesar Sportsbooks, and if your first bet doesn't go your way, you can get up to $1,000 in bonus bets back. It's a win-win. Just follow the link in our episode description to take advantage of this offer. You must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, so the next one is a bet that I did a little bit of sleuthing. And, it's the national championship. It's the culmination of the season. At times, we're going to have more bets than we probably should. And I've always been a believer of only bet what you see value in. And sometimes, you might have 8 on the last game of the season. Sometimes you may have 1. But this was one that I was actually really excited to bet because the price. And listen, this dude is only coming in the game to do one thing. That's to catch the ball. That's Anais Williams over 2.5 receptions. I'll be factual. The line was plus 150. It died down a little bit. But I think that you guys have to strongly consider this. Also, I took his receiving yards. If you have any other books, like any of the offshores, you might be able to find the 17s and a half, so 21s and a half. I think it's getting a little high at the 28s-ish. That's a high number, but receptions is there. There's no surprise that Notre Dame tried to find their offensive identity or spark in the pass game. It kind of bounced around from different players as they tried to work this out. But one thing they started to notice later in the season was the success of Anais Williams out of the backfield. Anais Williams, no slouch to catching passes. The freshman in high school had 3,400 receiving yards. That's a high school wide running back playing with stats like a wide receiver. So then he goes and plays IU and sees 4 targets in his first like real heavy game action. That's not just mop time, clean it up. Four targets, 4 catches, 15 yards. Plays against Georgia. Now this is a little bit different. The Bulldogs are gonna be more than happy to play some man defense, and they're gonna be more than happy to try to get to the quarterback. Also, Notre Dame was playing with the lead for much of that game. Still saw 4 targets. Yes, he didn't hit the 5. Did not hit the 5 receiving, the 17 receiving yards. Did not hit the 2.5 receptions. Still saw 4 targets in a game where they had the lead. So that tells me that they want to throw him the ball and get him involved. Now in a game where they're playing from a trailing position, 5 receptions, 66 yards against Penn State. It was a game where they ended up winning that game late in the game, but he was involved. He's not the guy who's going to go out there and play 50% of the snaps, 70% of the snaps. Maybe he'll get to the 45, around 20 snaps, 25 snaps, kind of be his ceiling. But when he's in the game, they're designing something for him. And if we go and we look back to the Ohio State games, right? Like we look back and say, who did Ohio State play? Well, remember the most important game they played with all the chips and all the cards on the line. They played against Texas. Wisner and Blue were the leading wide receivers for their teams in targets and receptions because Ohio State is so talented on the outside. Even when Denzel Burke went down, they said, fine, we're going to beat you on the outside. We're going to beat you underneath. But that was a trend throughout the season where running backs out of the backfield were coming and catching passes with a high effectiveness. And it kind of makes me think about Jim Knowles, defensive coordinator for Ohio State. He wants to bring pressure, and he's not afraid of it, right? He's not afraid of bringing pressure. Sometimes when the offense knows pressure is coming, you script your plays to beat the pressure. The best way to beat a blitz is running backs out of the backfield. I saw a line for Jeremiah Love at over 5.5 receiving yards. That's fine too. I don't care if you like Jadarian Price receiving yards. I'm going with the guy who's the best pass catcher out of that backfield, and that's Anais Williams. I have a bunch more to give you guys, but before we do, I want to drop a little bit of a commercial. This is Throwback Brad with blue hair. Wait, before we get back to the picks, I wanted to thank you all for watching. Friends don't let friends watch videos without hitting the like button. So go ahead and press the thumbs up button and like the video. If you're new here and not subscribed, you should go ahead and do so because we're dropping new content each and every day on the GoldBoys Network. We strive to cover every sport and give out picks and analysis and valuable information for free on the GoldBoys Network. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you can get notified when we drop something new. I'm Brad Thomas. Let's get back to the picks. Everyone loves touchdowns, parlays, and I'm going to be quite frank with you. With a total of just 45, I'm not just sitting here going to spit off 10 million touchdown scores for this game. But so what I'm going to do, first, I just want to tell you about one player who I love and think they're absolutely going to hit. Then I'll tell you about a couple long shots that can hit, and then I'll give you a parlay of the ones that I went with. One player for the price, Trevion Henderson to score a touchdown, even money on FanDuel. Yeah, always feel free to shop your lines. Smart better shop their lines. Did not find the end zone against Texas. The two other playoff games. Oh, he did find the end zone. I digress. He had that 75-yard touchdown run. Strengthens my argument even more. I love when that happens. Trevion Henderson touchdown in that game. 2 touchdowns against Oregon. He had 94 rush yards in that game. Had a 66-yard touchdown run. 2 touchdowns against Tennessee. You know, with his 10 rushing touchdowns on the season. You might say, Brad, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to bet on Trevion Henderson or are we going to take Quinshon Judkins? Listen, Quinshon Judkins minus 104, 105. Trevion Henderson, even money. I went with Trevion Henderson because it just feels like this is one of those teams where it just feels like if one back gets it the one game before that, the other one's getting that. And I'm not talking about the touchdown specifically. I'm talking about those red zone carries. When I was going and doing my digging on these teams, there was no like big difference on who is the red zone man. Kind of bounced back and forth. And so I went with Trevion Henderson at the better price. I think he has the chops for running one long, even though everyone thought that'd be Quinshon Judkins' responsibility. Let's go down the board a little bit and let's look at some touchdown price. So, like, let's just be real frank, right? Like, anybody on Notre Dame is pretty much like what I would consider a massive price because they don't think they're going to score that much. Their quarterback is sitting around 176 receiving passing yards. So you're not going to get that many opportunities to go to take these deep balls. And then if we think about the Jaden Greathouse touchdown that they scored against Penn State, they weren't scoring that without, listen, they weren't scoring that without the defensive back literally falling down. He fell down. So you just kind of want to find a little bit of value. When I went down here, I thought there were some good options. I thought the first one that you'd, if you want to call this a longer shot, Mitchell Evans, but then you like say, is how many sets are they going to be in where they're about 15 yards from the end zone, 12 personnel, Mitchell Evans. You have to imagine they're going to want to target Mitchell Evans there, right? 3 touchdowns on the season at plus 360. I kind of pass. Bo Collins coming off an injury, maybe. I thought a really good price for an anytime touchdown. And this dude is literally not, like, he was supposed to be a really good big threat for this team early in the season. But it's not getting the receptions. But anytime you get in these late like season, we need to switch it up. We need a spark. Jaden Thomas, right? Dude hasn't been effective, really only gets mop up time. He scored a touchdown in mop up time against IU. 13-1 to score a touchdown. Listen, he's about as far down the board as you can go. Like I'm going to be honest, you're probably more likely to get a Bo Collins touchdown, which is 8.5-1. But the fact that Bo Collins is injured it really scares me, right? Like it really scares me because all it takes is one little niggle and you're banged up again. But he did score against Georgia, missed last game. I think I think you could consider him if he comes back. But again, another guy who only has 3 touchdowns. The reason I'm leaving these guys out is because there's someone who I think we have to take on this team. It's Jeremiah Love, plus 160. He's going in the parlay. Jeremiah Love, 17 rushing touchdowns on the season. Big, big numbers, right? What was more impressive about Jeremiah Love was not the fact that he played injured last week, is that he had the single most profound run I have ever seen by a goal line running back in a high leverage situation against Penn State. Plus 160 going in the parlay. Next, and this is not next as in like just throwaway Jeremiah Love. We're taking Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith last game, 1 catch, 3 yards. It's important to note Texas, one of the highest zone teams. Now they're playing against Notre Dame. Notre Dame plays a lot of man. One of these guys getting beat on the outside in man coverage. One of these guys is going to beat their outside defender in man coverage, Jeremiah Smith or Emeka Buka. Taking Jeremiah Smith. Dude is the deep ball threat. I think Emeka Buka gets the 55 yards, whatever his total is set at. I think he clears that with ease. But I just think from a touchdown perspective and a guy who can just win at the point of attack, the true freshman Jeremiah Smith phenom. I'll run that back for you guys one more time. That's Jeremiah Love, Jeremiah Smith, and Travion Henderson. I played that on FanDuel plus 790. All right, guys. Let's see. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any more ad reads or anything before I get there. Okay. The national championship prediction. First, I want you guys are going to be like, Brad, what's the total going to be? I think the total goes under. I think it goes under 45.5. I think it probably ends at 39. I'm taking Ohio State minus 8.5. And I didn't actually place money on this. Let me be frank. I've been spending all week just placing bets on Ohio State money line. When you spend $20 million on your roster, it is championship or bust. But it has been championship or bust for Ohio State since Ryan Day took over. This team is recruiting at a high level. This team is in the transfer portal now at a high level. They brought in Caleb Downs, Quinshon Judkins, guys who can win. Will Howard. This team is playing at a high level. They are number one in EPA margin on offense and defense. They can win at the point of attack on the offensive line. Even more importantly, I haven't talked about this yet. They can win at the point of attack anytime Riley Leonard drops back. Why do I say that? Starting left tackle Knapp is out for the game, injured. They've already had injuries on the offensive line. They're going to bring in a redshirt freshman against JTT. This defensive line, just with JTT's stick. Now, Jack Sawyer on the other side. Oh my God. What is Jim Knowles going to do? He's going to bring pressure. He's going to see if that left tackle can hold up, the right tackle can hold up, the guards in there can stop anybody blitzing through the A gap. We're going to see. And I know for a fact, because I watch a lot of Ohio State football, Jim Knowles is not going to be pretending. He's going to say one thing, we're coming. And it's going to be up to you to stop us. I think the Buckeyes win this. I think they win this with honor. The last time they were in Atlanta in the semifinal game, they played against Georgia, winning the entire game, fell short. They fell short due to a Marvin Harrison Jr. injury. That is not going to happen in this game. I think the Buckeyes win. You know, I could go a little bit deeper and talk about anything other like the advanced metrics, but I think it's the teams are so even outside of just size, strength, and skill players. They're both well coached. You know, they both play really good defense. They both can run the heck out of the ball. Notre Dame 0 5 stars. Well, they have 1 5-star. I don't even know if he's a consistent 5-star, so he doesn't show up on there. 0 or 1 5-stars. Ohio State 10. Size. Ohio State has played. They just finished playing Oregon, size out the wazoo. Then they played Texas, some of the cream of the crops of their both respective conferences. Notre Dame, not to take anything away from their run, they got some advantage situations, right? I don't think if Ohio State gets up, they're going to let them march back in like Penn State did with Notre Dame. The Buckeyes will be your 2024-25 national championship. Everybody who watched today's show and episode, I want to thank you. Make sure you drop a like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and hit me up on X at Mr. Brad Thomas. If you want to learn how to join GoldBoys, the links are in the description. I may shed a tear because I'm so excited about tonight. But anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks for checking out the Prop Shop.